for me, my background was sales and marketing, and coming from a place like New Orleans where there was just like so much to choose from. When we came up to Whidbey Island, I moved into the food and beverage side of things, and I was selling smoked salmon to chefs and restaurants. And what I realized when we bought our house was, wait a minute, this is a form of sales, but it's very much relationship focused. And I was like, maybe I should consider that. And because what was happening is when you're in like the sales and marketing industry, you don't really get to connect with the end client, especially like I was a regional sales manager, so I was traveling all the time. And once you're meeting with these chefs and like you're starting to have a relationship, then you're off to the next one. And so it was feeling lonely. I was traveling all the time, and I was like, what could I do that would allow me to stay close to home? I wouldn't have to travel. Like whenever I chose to travel, it would be for fun, not for work. And I could really build like genuine relationships with people. And being a military spouse, I really didn't have a huge sphere. Like I didn't know a lot of people, so that was very scary because real estate is all about who you know. And I looked at it from a perspective of, well, I don't know anyone. This is an opportunity for me to create a community. And so I felt like once I leaned into that like perspective about it, I was like, wait a minute, this is amazing. I can create my dream job. I can build my community. Like I don't have to know everyone. I'm not going to be a top producer year one, but like if I do something I'm passionate about, it'll just naturally happen. So I don't know if that's how everyone will feel, but that's definitely like the driver behind everything for me, was just kind of like the limitless opportunity that real estate provides. For me, like there's no ceiling. And so it's the community aspect, it's building those relationships, but it's also, as someone who just naturally works really hard, it was like, why am I working so hard for someone else when I could be working that hard for myself? And there's no cap. There's no stopping point. There's no boss that says, sorry, you've maxed out on your salary. And so to me, it was that limitless possibility as far as like even on the income side of things. Taking time off is truly the hardest part. I think there's this misconception that build your own schedule and it's so easy, work when you want to work. And there is, of course, there's some aspect of that, but you have to truly get to a place where you're good with your boundaries and you're okay walking away from a little bit of money sometimes, or paying money. But it is hard to get away and take time off or not work nights and weekends like that. You just kind of have to create really strong boundaries and great communication with your clients, and you totally can take time off, but it's a daily practice. In my buyer consult, I talk about like office hours, and I explain that after 7:30, 8 o'clock, you probably won't hear from me unless it's urgent. If we're negotiating a contract or it's it's something that with a deadline attached to it, then of course. But you will always hear from me ASAP the next day within business hours, and just kind of setting that stage, but then also holding yourself accountable when those text messages come in. And sometimes, you build these relationships with clients and they become friends, and they're sending you pictures of their living room. Should I move the chair here? Should I put it over there? And sometimes you're going to break those boundaries, but because you at least had that conversation on the forefront, if you don't respond, they're not upset with you over it. So for me, it's just practicing clear setting those expectations, clear communication, and honestly a reminder sometimes, like, hey, so sorry I couldn't get to you last night. I turned my phone off after 7:30, remember? Okay, what's going on? It's just kind of like reminding them, that you are a professional. There are certain hours that we can discuss business. I deserve to have a life too. And you don't have to even come from like a negative place about it if you have the boundaries set in place in the beginning. Vacations are a non-negotiable for me. I love to travel. It's like, I don't have a ton of hobbies. I'm not into gardening and, so for me it's traveling. And so I really just leaned on the relationships that I built with other agents. Like to me, relationships with other agents is right up there with building your database and starting the foundation of your business. You need to have those relationships with agents you can depend on, because just like you're going to need them, they're going to also need you. It's a few different pieces for me. So it's clear communication with my clients when I know something's coming up. I'll set the vacation. It is happening. It's on my calendar. So then that way, as we're approaching and I'm looking, weeks ahead, I can kind of start mapping out where I am with clients. Who might I need to line someone up for showings? Do I have a listing that I'm going to need a point of contact for? But as long as you can plan ahead, and then you have agents to step in when you're out. And I mean, this business is mobile. Like you can do a lot remotely. So it's just really setting expectations, planning ahead, and just holding yourself to that time because you deserve it. One of the key things in my system is once a week, every week, I sit down, I look at all of my transactions, any active buyers, upcoming listings, and just make sure I'm in a good place with everything. And if I need to touch base with anyone, it's like it all happens on this one day. So I call it my like office day or CEO day, like whatever you want to call it. That helps. And then also like really understanding the lifespan of a transaction. So if we're through inspection, we're waiting on appraisal, that's like 2 to 3 weeks of a lot of quiet time, but you also have to let your client know that. And I think a lot of agents forget to communicate that part, and clients are like, hey, is everything okay? I haven't heard from you. And so it's just really understanding those timelines, so then you can better communicate that to your client so they understand, oh, it is normal for things to go quiet for a couple of weeks here. Windermere, there's just no other brokerage that really focuses so much on culture, collaboration. I love marketing. I want to be with a brokerage that has a great reputation locally, cares about the community that the brokerage is in, but also allows me to kind of do my own thing and create my own brand with the backbone of Windermere. If I say I'm a Windermere broker, other agents in other locations, they know there's like a set reputation around that, and they're like, oh, okay, like, that's, your stuff, your local market, you're an expert in your area. There's a really good reputation around the Windermere brand, and I think you can kind of look at other brokerages and you feel like just another number. You're just another, whether you're an agent or a client, and I just never wanted clients to feel like a number. I don't need to post my sales volume because no one knows what that means and it doesn't mean anything. I'd rather focus on the relationships that I'm building. I just believe that that's very in line with Windermere, and there's just not really another option here that really meets all of those things for me. And those are very important things. The top 3 things that Windermere brings to me, or that I love about Windermere, is definitely community. So it's community within the office, the community outreach that we do within our local community, the knowledge that we have about our local market. Whidbey Island is a very specific place, and no matter where you're working, your market is a very specific place. So community is really important. Collaboration. Collaboration is just, real estate has this reputation of being cutthroat and really competitive and lonely, and it can be those things if you let it. But if you are someone who thrives in collaborative environments and you really just want to build your own community, Windermere really focuses on the collaboration. And then thirdly, I'd probably say like culture, because everything at the end of the day is at the root of the culture of the office. It's sharing, it's collaborating, it's like we all want to see each other succeed. And so you really are not going to have a strong community. You're not going to have a strong collaborative environment if you don't have the culture that also enforces that. The vision is not only for the brokerage's growth, it's also for the agent's growth. You guys are putting out amazing content and neighborhood guides and encouraging us to steal those and use them as our own. Steal is not the right word, but yeah, it's like you want us to use the work that you're doing to save us time. We don't have to start from ground zero. Like, we can use what you've created, make it our own. And that alone just helps us stand out. I mean, the email newsletters that you guys are doing, you've got CRMs and CMA tools and like all of the things that brokers need to get started. But then you also encourage us that if we want to go out and try our own products and our own systems, like, you encourage us to do that. I mean, it's really the best of both worlds. It's like you've got the systems here to help new brokers start, but then also you're saving time for experienced brokers. We're not having to write our own blog posts or create a neighborhood guide. Like, you guys have that there. I see that this vision is it's not a one-sided relationship where a lot of other brokerages they're focused on the numbers. They just want to be at the top. And it's like, who cares? Like, yes, there's some importance to being, some brand recognition, but I'd rather have an overall local tight-knit community that knows our Windermere brand, cares for them, and we're involved in nonprofits and we're giving back. The people who need to know, they know. And our vision is, by taking care of agents, and the agents then can take care of their clients, like, that goes so much further. Truthfully, yeah, there's this part of me that I love competition. I love healthy competition. I love negotiating, and I like to do it in a win-win perspective, but I also, there's just this innate competitiveness, right? And so if the standard of our brokerage is to be sending out an email newsletter and posting on social media and have updated headshots, well, I want to be above what's the standard. And so I just think that it helps hold me accountable to, trying to be my best and perform at my best. But it also, some months you're just busy and you don't have the time, you don't really care. You're just like, I just need to put something out there. And I look for inspiration in the content that you're creating. And it's like, I don't have to start from ground zero. I can borrow those ideas and it still is going to look better than any other brokerage option that's out there. When I need not a crutch, but when I need some help and support, I know I've got a place to pull from. I'm not creating it from scratch. But then it also just kind of helps propel me because I want to, I want people to recognize, oh, the pink website, that's Christine, and put my own little spin on it so it stands out, and it makes it fun for me. You encourage us to go out and go to conferences and to network with other agents, and you really encourage us to find our own little tribes. And I think what people forget is we could literally both be putting out the exact same blog post. And if we put our own little spin on it, we change the language and tone to sound more like us, and we put it out to our own audiences, it will get picked up in completely different ways. There's an agent in the office that we're very different individuals, but we have the same kind of love and desire for marketing and branding. And we always joke because we sat down one year and mapped out this crazy marketing calendar. And we were posting the same exact topics every single day. And I was like, I would have never thought of that, And so we were posting, even though it was the same topic, we had our own spin on it. And so it's just, I think it falls back into that culture and community and collaboration. And it's like, just because you're posting a newsletter that the brokerage created, it's going to come across completely different. We can all do the same thing, and we all have different audiences. The saying that if we threw our own wedding, like the overlap in who we would invite is like very minimal. So I think, keep your mindset, and that's the other thing too, is you foster this mindset of growth and collaboration, that there's not a scarcity limitation feeling. Like especially when business gets busy and you just want to take your foot off the gas and like stop. Right. It's like now I'm just like, okay, I can't just stop. This is the standard, and it gives me that little nudge to like keep going, put something out there. It doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing. Just keep showing up. Keep showing up.
Yeah. We're moving to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So you're going to be double licensed in Wisconsin and in Washington State.
Yes.
So you went through the process as an experienced broker, choosing a brokerage. What was that process like?
Very daunting, because it's hard when you love where you're at. I think it's probably a lot easier for brokers who are unhappy where they are, because you're just looking for the opposite. Whereas I am holding these brokerages to such a high standard because I'm comparing every little detail to what I have here at Windermere. And so when I'm sitting down, I'm down to 2. I haven't made a decision yet. And what's funny is there's one that really feels like the Windermere office environment. There's the community, the collaboration. They really have a good knowledge of the local market, and I feel like they would be great at connecting me locally. But they're kind of missing some of the more techie stuff and the marketing pieces that Windermere offers. And this other brokerage, they are really set for like launching you into the future and like the nitty-gritty techie stuff. And I'm kind of, I'm wondering, okay, how involved in the community are they? And I'm leaning more in this other direction because I feel like they are also involved in the community. But it's just funny how I'm literally just like, okay, here's what the standard baseline is. Where do you fall?
I love it.
I know, but yeah, so I'm just kind of comparing it in that way, and I'm trying to look at, okay, I'm coming to this market, and while yes, I'm new to the market, I'm going to pick up the local market quickly. Like that's just going to happen over time. Who is going to set me up for success in the future? Who sees me and the brand and the type of clientele that I'm, trying to attract, and the type of business I'm trying to grow. So I'm really trying to look at it from like a future growth mindset. And I think Windermere has really set the stage and has made this incredibly hard for me. So yeah, I look forward to kind of keeping you posted on where this goes.